Hey there everyone, Mazarok here, and today's video is going to be something a little bit different than what I normally do. I'm going to be covering a couple of pet peeves that have been bothering me in group play in World of Warcraft lately. I don't want this to be like a negative kind of mean video. That's exactly the opposite. So I'm going to say what that pet peeve is and tell you why it is a pet peeve, number one, because some of them might not be as obvious off the bat. And we're going to cover 3 of them. And then try and go from it from a more positive, like what we can do and be more aware of in these group settings with some of these pet peeves. Although I think some of them are also going to be pretty funny, especially from the mindsets of quite a few people that I've talked to that have definitely laughed about some of these with me. So before we get in, there is a Twitch link down below. Check that out if you'd like to see people stream. I stream. Boom. My guild Bloodstorm is currently recruiting healers and DPS. We're looking to try and get into heroic very, very soon. We're 10 out of 11 normal. We just haven't had the time to step into jailer. We raid 1 night a week. I am looking to add a second night a week once we really start getting into heroic, but I want more people in guild and less pugs before we really start going after that AOTC as a guild. There is a guild link down below as well as a community Discord link. You can check that out. If you want to ask me questions or anything, that is a great place to do so. And lastly, please subscribe. We have an insane amount of people that have been supporting this community and growing it, and I cannot do it without you guys. So please, thank you so much, very much. Hit that subscribe button. You have no idea what it means to me. So let's get into it. 3 pet peeves in current World of Warcraft. There's probably more. These are 3 that I want to cover. Number 1 is something that I have to laugh at. I pug a lot of keys. Just how it works. I have to pug keys, and then you're looking through the Pugfinder, and you hit... I see this every day. It's like, plus 12 Mist of Tier and Sight. Note tier. Are you kidding me? Note tier? If you need a tier set, a 4-piece tier set to get through a 12... you're in trouble. If you're trying to get good people into your groups, do not put that in your pug. Like, do not put that in your Pugfinder if you're listing something. Plus 15 note tier, that means that you are incapable, or you're showing to the world that you're incapable of doing it without tier. Some people just aren't lucky. But here's the thing. A lot of good players, and I mean a literal butt ton of good players, were timing 15s on week 1 without double legendaries and with 0 tier pieces because they weren't available yet. So you don't need tier for 15s. If you're putting that in your group, note tier for a plus 12 or plus 14 or plus 15, you're going to actually unattract a lot of very good players that are just going to laugh at your note and then skip over you. Because just because you have tier doesn't make you a good player, does not make you a good DPS player. And just because you don't have tier doesn't make you bad. Yes, some classes absolutely get crazy, much better with tier, but in the wrong hands, it still won't matter. I have absolutely seen this week players that have no tier literally do 2 or 3k more than DPS specs that have full tier set, double legendaries, and had 5 item levels over them, and they weren't flavor of the month classes for the ones that beat them. Any spec in the right hands can do crazy good, and there are different methods of choosing whether or not someone should come into your party, and RNG should not be one of it. So that's been one of my pet peeves lately. You gotta laugh, but it's unattractive to people that actually are good, and you're going to just attract more degenerates than whatnot. Number 2, I ran a key last night where the explosives, it was a Sanguine Depths, and the Warlock, by the end of it, there was a couple of them going off because you pull a little bit bigger in the gauntlet, and a couple of them were going off, and he started yelling at me for not getting at them. He started flaming me for not getting them, and I told him, like, you're allowed to get some of them yourself, you know. Like, you're absolutely allowed to get some explosives yourself. It's not just a tank thing, it's not just a healer thing. You are allowed to get them. So then he started flaming me that a good tank should get them all, and I'm sorry, that's impossible. Mythic Plus is a group effort. A tank cannot get every single explosive. A good tank will get most of them, absolutely. So he decided to post up the explosive logs of details, which I had gotten most of them. I was clear. I had more explosives than literally all 4 others in the group combined. I had more. So I had to laugh at that, and he's like, a good tank, and then I was like, well, a good DPS player won't be tied with the tank for DPS, but, you know, that if you want to flame me, I can flame you, but it comes down to one thing. There was something that I read, it was probably 10, 12 years ago, but it was, you cannot demand a service and simultaneously degrade the people that provide it for you. Now, this applied to fast food workers about 10 years ago, and I still think it absolutely applies to now in anybody in any industry. You cannot go and demand or ask somebody for a service, a Big Mac or whatever, and then degrade the people that provide that service for you. That's a thinking in society that needs to go. And in pug groups, everyone's providing a service. The tank is providing tanking services. The healer is providing healing services, and the DPS are providing DPS and CC services. Yes, I'm including that in there. That needs to be normalized. Your only job is not just a tank, not just a DPS. But you can't flame me when I'm literally doing my job and you're literally bottom on the explosive meters because you refuse to touch them. You can't get mad at the people that are doing it when you aren't doing it yourself. That is incredibly annoying, and you see that a lot with interrupts. Now, explosives, it's explosive this week, so that's obviously one thing that's to be seen, and we can get a little crazy on, right? But interrupts are the same thing. You see people flaming, it's like, man, we gotta kick that. And then you go check the interrupts and details, which you can do, and that person has 2 interrupts in the first 20 minutes of a dungeon. Like, no. You can't flame people for doing stuff that you aren't doing yourself. You have to double check that. You can't flame people for doing low DPS. If you're doing low DPS yourself, you need to be able to work on yourself, be accountable for yourself inwards before you can project that outwards. If I, as a tank, am asking people to kick more, I need to make sure that I'm probably on the top for kicks, and every single time that I look at the interrupt meter on details, I am absolutely at the top of all kicks. And it's usually by a spread of 10 or more. Very rarely, and I mean very rarely, does the interrupt meter have somebody above me. And I'll tell you, when it does, when the DPS are above me in interrupts, usually those are my best runs. They went insanely fast. Everybody pumped. Everybody was stayed alive. The run was crazy easy. I barely had to use defensives. And that, there's actually a link down below that I'll post as well, which is my Mythic Plus rolls. It explains all of that, so we'll just go down there. But that's actually kind of a big pet peeve of mine when I see people do exactly what I just talked about. All right, my last pet peeve. Now, this one here is very, very specific. And I'm sorry, marksmanship hunters. I'm going to pick on you a little bit here. I have developed a new habit when forming a group. Now, when you form a group, you want a Bloodlust, especially once you get into higher keys, Bloodlust, Hero, Time Warp, whatever you want to call it, Alliance or Horde side, does not matter. But once you start getting into higher keys, 15 plus, you would much prefer just having a Bloodlust than not. Really, you just want one. So, there's no mages or shamans available, perhaps. None of them are applying to your group. Nobody wants anything to do with you there, whatever. But, you know, you got a couple hunters to choose from. Cool, okay, cool. Hunters provide Bloodlust, Hero, Time Warp, whatever you want to call it. So, I invite the hunter. Cool. If I'm inviting a hunter, and it's the last one, there's a good chance that I need you for, you know, some sort of utility you're providing. And that utility is Bloodlust, Time Warp, Hero. I will ask, hey, can you lust? If they say any form of, I'm marksman, I immediately boot them from the group. I am tired of having the debate / argument over marksmanship and Bloodlust. Because here's the thing. There is literally no scenario in any world whatsoever where you as a marksmanship hunter with no pet and no Bloodlust is going to deal more damage or provide more damage than you having a pet and bloodlusting for maybe 3 bosses in a run. Maybe 3 bosses. You don't even need your pet out full time. You literally just ask where the Bloodlust are, and then you have your pet out for those pulls. Because it will provide significant amounts more DPS from tanks, healers, and DPS than if you don't lust and you don't have a pet. You're lonely, your 10% extra damage for not having a pet literally does not apply when Bloodlust is at stake here. It doesn't. And if you want to have that debate with me, I'm not having it. I'm tired of it. Oh, I want to do more damage, and I do more damage if I don't have a pet, so I'm not going to Bloodlust, is the stupidest argument I've ever heard in my life. And it's not one that should be had anymore. And that one, to me, just drives me up the wall. Now, that's not to say I don't take marksmanship hunters for Lust. I absolutely do. They're bumping on the meters, man. You see them, like, just shoot up crazy on the meters all the time. And I love it. That's great. I have zero problems bringing hunters. It's this mentality of, well, I can't Bloodlust because I don't have a pet out. Are you kidding? Just pull out your pet. Like, it's the stupidest argument in the world. So that's what I started doing. I'm sorry if I've done that to you. Really am. But I'm kind of not. Because it's just, this argument's done. Bloodlust provides significantly more DPS to the entire group and makes the group go incredibly more well when we have Bloodlust or Hero Up than if we don't have Hero Up and you don't have a pet. It's just a dumb argument. It's a dumb debate, and I'm kind of done having it. That's one of my bigger pet peeves. So in the link down below where I posted the Mythic Plus rolls, I talk about utility, stuns, CCs, and Bloodlust is absolutely provided in that. You are not going to see an MDI run that does not include some sort of Lust class. You're just not. Every class is going to see them. It is a utility that DPS bring, or healer, if you're in the case of a shaman, that is absolutely necessary for hiring keys in play. So, the types of groups that work best and are the best runs are like what I just said in the explosives / kick pet peeve. When everybody uses their utility and not just, here, I smash face on buttons, do DPS, and stuns and kicks and utility are used, the runs go that much better. So to me, the moment someone says, I'm marksman when I ask for Bloodlust, if they can, that means you're not even willing to work your utility into your kit for the good of the group. Because at the end of the day, Mythic Plus is a group activity. It is a group setting. And that's where people are successful, when everybody works as a group. So, that are 3 of my WoW pet peeves that are currently going on in the game. Let me know if there's a couple others. Let's try and keep this a little bit more positive. I know this is different from what I normally do. So let's not get attacky or, crazy negative or anything. I ended each one on a positive note, as we see here in the video. If you look back, I ended each one through here. This is my pet peeve. This is the positive thing. This is why. This is what we can do. This is it. Let's keep that in mind. Aside from that, I hope you guys are enjoying 9.2 as much as I am. I hope you guys are excited for Dragonflight and 9.2.5 as much as I am. Have yourselves a great day. Thank you very much for listening. As time goes on, depending on how this one goes, again, I want to make sure that this one doesn't get too much negative view, because I don't like the negativity side of things. So as long as things stay mostly positive with this video, I might do another one in the future if you guys like it. But until then, thank you very much for your time. Have a good day.